Hello and welcome to the Sun Sign Self-Awareness series. This is video 5, which is the second video that looks at the Virgo energy. So in the last video we touched on the essence of Virgo, which is things to do with hard work, service, purity, ritual. Virgo energy tends to be quite serious, likes to be skillful to know you've done a real good job wherever you have Virgo in your chart. And of course, we also touched on the Mercury retrograde that's happening, Mercury turned retrograde today actually, right now, because Mercury is about to travel backwards through the sign of Virgo from 29 degrees back to 14 degrees. So while we go through your chart, which is what we're going to do right now, and look at how the Virgo energy expresses in the different houses of the chart, you might want to just keep that in mind, that if Mercury is going to backtrack through some of that area, that you may be refining certain elements of these zones within your own life. So let's get into it. I hope you've got your birth chart handy. If you don't have a copy of your birth chart, you can always get one from me by signing up to my newsletter. If you go to www.motherearthastrology.com on the internet, and you'll see a little sign up option on the left hand side of the page. You click on there and you can get access to my free ebook, which is the introductory tips to astrological self-awareness. Everything I seem to have put out there is a bit of a tongue twister for these videos, but you'll get more information in there about how to look at which signs or which houses in your chart and for keywords, so that could help even further if you take away from this video today and then go and look at the ebook and have a look at your own individual chart. So Virgo in the chart. If you have Virgo across your first house or your seventh house, then the first house is very aligned with how you come across to others. And the seventh house is our partnerships, okay? It's the people out there. So this axis of the chart is how we present ourselves to others and the relationships that we have with others, especially those intimate relationships within our lives. And in the first house, you may be called upon to really develop some skills during this lifetime that enable you to shine your light. Okay, so in the very first part of this series, we looked at the Leo energy. If you've not already done all the videos yet, you can always go back, because there'll be something for you in there too, and you can look at where Leo is in your chart. And Virgo is the energy that comes after Leo. So we look at Leo and we look at where we feel fulfilled, where we have the potential to shine, and then Virgo comes along and says, okay, now we know what our gifts are, how we want to express ourselves. Virgo says, let's hone that now. Let's get real detailed and flush out the detail and really get to grips with the skills that we're going to need, okay? Virgos love to study as well. So in the first house, you may be called upon to really refine your skills during this lifetime in order for you to shine as the best that you can be. You probably have quite a neat appearance, and you may also be very drawn to the health industry in whichever way that presents for you, because Virgo is a sign that can be very aligned with healing and dealing with sickness. In the seventh house, you may find, and this is kind of a bit with the first house as well, there can be a bit of shyness around. So you may find, especially in your younger years, you can tend to be a bit anxious or shy. Anxiety can also be a part of Virgo. And in the seventh house of the chart, because the seventh house relates to one-on-one relationships, you may have found in your younger days especially, or maybe even now, that there's a bit of shyness around approaching a particular person that you would like for your partner in life. There's a real warning to be careful of a critical attitude. Virgos notice what's wrong with everything, okay? So the Virgo energy can be quite critical, and if it's in your first house and the way you come across, you might find that you can be a little bit overcritical at times, because you'll just tend to say everything that you see. And in the seventh house, there can be an issue around being a bit overly critical of partners, or of wanting the perfect partner, or even maybe not feeling that you're good enough for a partner, that you're not perfect enough, could be another problem in there. In the seventh, Virgo tends to be a practical sign, and you're likely to want to show your love in practical ways if you have Virgo in your seventh house or on the cusp. And to really care for your partner in practical ways. So you might want to buy them gifts. You may even, if you're a man, you might do DIY to please the lady in your life. If you're a woman, you might love keeping the house clean because you know it pleases your husband. You know, they're really practical daily tasks. And you're also going to really value somebody if you have Virgo in the 7th who has a lot of intellect, who really likes to talk, who tends to come across as quite intelligent, and who you can have real conversations with, and maybe even study together with. In the 2nd and 8th house, so if you have Virgo present in the 2nd house or the 8th house of your birth chart, we're talking about money, shared resources. There's a strong emphasis on finance within these two houses. In the 2nd house, it's money that you earn for yourself. So if you have Virgo in the 2nd, you may earn your money through Virgo pursuits. It may be something to do with health. You may be really skilled at a particular craft. You know, Virgo is often associated with the hands and working with the hands. So there could be carpentry. You may be some kind of dressmaker or cake decorator. And you're going to have a real practical, common sense attitude around money, and probably be quite careful about where you're spending that money. You could even earn money through your words or through the written word because of Virgo here, with Virgo being ruled by Mercury. Then we go across to the 8th house, and the 8th house can be other people's money and it can be shared resources. So there could be, if you have Virgo in the 8th house, maybe you could be an accountant. You could really analyze other people's money. Virgo is quite an analytical sign, very analytical sign actually. So across these two houses, there could even be the potential for, I don't know, a data warehousing expert, someone who really analyzes data for a living. And in the 8th house, we're also talking about the unconscious, the psyche. So the aspects of ourselves that are really deep. So there could even be a tendency to really psychoanalyze people if you have Virgo in the 8th, and to be interested in psychology and in people and what makes people tick. So that's another way that could present in the 8th house, and maybe even to just constantly analyze yourself and your own quirks or your characteristics or the way that you react to things. If you have Virgo across the 3rd or the 9th axis, then we're talking about study a lot in this axis, okay? So the 3rd house tends to be more your early schooling or studies that you take, whereas the 9th house tends to be a higher education and looking at philosophy and belief systems. And in the 9th house, if you have Virgo, you may be constantly wondering about what it's all about. You know, what is life all about? What is the bigger meaning? What's my philosophy? What's my belief system? And you might really have an interest in other cultures and really want to go deep with that and look at different religions. And in the 3rd house, it's a lot to do with communication. So again, the written word, the way that you speak and communicate. And with Virgo, you're probably very good with the details in this house. You know, Virgo can be a very detailed sign. And just getting into the nth degree of the detail. You know, if you're writing something, you may have to re-edit to make it a shorter format with Virgo in the 3rd. But there could definitely be writing ability and maybe a wit as well. You know, Virgos can sometimes be a little bit sarcastic as well. Moving on to the 4th and the 10th axis. So if we look at, if you have Virgo in the 4th and the 10th, across the 4th or the 10th house, this is to do with home in the 4th and career in the 10th. So this is how you are in your core self in the 4th house, the deep inner you, and coming out to the world, your status in the world in the 10th. So in the 4th house, you're probably quite efficient as a home person. You probably like to keep the house clean and tidy, and Virgos can get quite affected on a personal level if things aren't in their place. So it actually really does a Virgo good, or somebody with Virgo energy in that house, to keep the energy clear and clutter free, because it can really weigh down on that fine energy, that Virgo energy. You're probably somebody, if you have Virgo in the 4th house, who really looks after the health of your family. And you could be somebody who works from home as well. And there's also a tendency with the 4th house, because it's the deepest self, that there may be a lot of self-criticism in this house. So just be aware of that, and the driving of yourself to be perfect. You know, it's not just cleaning the house, it's getting around all the skirting boards every week. You know, everything can take so long because you get so perfect at it. And in the 10th house, where we find Virgo, this is your career out in the world, or your status out in the world. And bosses love Virgos because they want to work. They're hardworking. very love to have a purpose in life. They really get down to the detail, great analytical minds. So if you have Virgo in the 10th, it's really important for you to have a job that makes you feel like you're really doing something of purpose in the world and serving others. And you will really do your best in that job also. And again, the watch point with the Virgo energy is just to be mindful of anxiety, that you don't overdo the hard working and not look after yourself, because of course we all need to look after ourselves in order to do the best job that we possibly can. Then we come to in fact, let me just go back briefly to the 8th house. If you have Virgo in the 8th, you may actually find that your health benefits through modalities such as fasting, because Virgo is very concerned with purification of the body. And in the 8th house, it seems to be very aligned, the Scorpio energy that naturally rules the 8th house, with really breaking things down and transforming. So fasting could be a great thing for someone with Virgo in the 8th to do, to really regenerate the body. Moving forward again, if we look across the 5th and the 11th axis, so the 5th house is the natural Leo domain that we discussed in the first 3 videos of the Leo energy. And this is where we meet our play and our joy. It's also the house of romance, So again, if you have Virgo in the 5th, there might be a natural shyness about romance, looking for the perfect partner or somebody out there. And there's also the way that you find your joy with Virgo is maybe you find your joy through working, through being efficient, through finding something you can work hard at, through crafting a skill, through being of service, or maybe even through health. These could all be ways that you find that playful energy. And again, if there is something that you really want to do in this life, it's really important that you really hone those skills, and really do as much as you can to be the best at it, because Virgo energy feels really good when it's done a great job. And Virgo in the 5th, also of course the 5th house is also relevant to what we create and to our children. So Virgo in the esoteric astrological world actually rules the moon. So Virgos can be great mothers, looking again after the health and natural well-being of children. So you may be a very dedicated mother if you have the Virgo energy in your 5th house. Moving across to the 11th, this is where we go from our innate self in the 5th to society in the 11th. So what are we bringing out and bringing through to society? And when you have Virgo in your 11th house, you're going to want to serve society in some way. In your friendships and your groups, you're probably quite discerning about the people who you join with. And once you do find your people, your soul clan, and you really find something you're aligned with, you're going to give your best in there, and you're going to want to work hard and to serve those people, and you're going to be a very helpful friend. You may be attracted to the type of groups that really embody that Virgo energy. So there could be some kind of health group, even if it's like something you do, like you go to a yoga group, or the other Virgo energy is like really refining skills such as craft groups. So there's looking at a kind of group that really aligns with that Virgo energy could be important as well, and really wanting to serve and help your friends. And then we move on to the 6th and the 12th houses. Now these are the houses of sickness and of health and healing. And Virgo naturally rules the 6th house as well. So you could have a real affinity with wanting to help people through healing. Maybe you are a healer if you have Virgo in either of these houses. Maybe you want to help the collective in some way. If you have Virgo in the 12th, there could be a real need for you to serve people. And you could find that you're drawn to working in hospitals, orphanages, anything that's an institution for people, or a charitable organisation of some kind as well, which could also fit with the 11th house too. You could be drawn to charity groups. So the 11th and 12th houses tend to be what you're taking out in the world to other people. And I always kind of associate Virgo energy in the 12th with a strong goddess energy. So you may really, really relate to that if you have Virgo in your 12th house as well. And meditation, I always feel for Virgo in the 12th, because it kind of seems to go with, when you think of people like monks or nuns that can draw in and have that peaceful, quiet energy and that solitude in order to be healing energy for others. Virgo in the 6th house. The 6th house is our day-to-day life and our day-to-day work, and also can be hobbies as well. Now, in the 6th house, you probably, if you have Virgo energy in there, you've probably always got a lot to do. You know, that daily rituals are busy, and it would be really great for you to incorporate that kind of 12th house axis into the 6th house, where you may be meditating, you know, in order to really bring yourself some calm if your life really is that busy. And the 6th house is also the house of health, and with Virgo there can often be like a calling towards the natural healing modalities, because the thing with Virgo and also with Pisces, which sits naturally in the 12th house, is you can be quite allergic to things. So there can be allergies that come up. Maybe if you have Virgo in either of the 6th or the 12th houses, that might be something that you find you're dealing with. And you have to get to the source of that, maybe eliminate foods, maybe find that you're not too good with chemicals around you. So that's really just a brief look at if you have Virgo, we all have Virgo in our chart somewhere. So which house do you have Virgo in? How would that energy present around? Okay, in the 12th house, you may even find that you become a meditation teacher. And in the 6th house, you may find that you're a nurse even, or in the 12th house. So this is really a great axis of service and honing your skills so that you can really bring them out for others. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Remember, with Mercury retrograding, to note the energy that's playing out within your house, within those houses, how you feel it expresses in you. And note, while Mercury is retrograding, if you get any messages around anything that needs refining in those houses. You know, I have Virgo in my 8th house, and I actually was contacted a week ago by 2 different companies regarding some bills that I hadn't paid. Of course, this is a money house, and it was to do with the running of the home and the family, so it's our shared resources. And so little things like that can pop up along the way. So again, if you would like more information on your own personal chart, you could always hop onto my site, www.motherearthastrology.com, sign up for the newsletter, which goes out every Thursday, and you'll get that free ebook, and you can also order a free chart from me as well. Or you may even want a chart reading from me, which again, if you go onto that website and hit shop, you'll be able to see the astrological services that I provide. So have a great day and a great week. We're just coming up to a new moon, which will be tomorrow, as well as Mercury retrograde. So take it easy if you're feeling really tired right now. That's perfectly normal. And I'll see you next week. Goodbye.